Hi gamers, welcome back to the Game Master's Dungeon. I am Brian, your Game Master. Once again, I'm here with CJ, one of the mainstay members of our gaming group. So this episode, we're going to talk about the player dynamic. Okay, the different types of players that you're going to see as a GM in your group. Okay, you're probably like, okay, Brian, what are you talking about? So let me kind of go over what we're going to talk about. So what we're going to talk about, the different types of players, because everyone plays role-playing games differently. Everybody comes for a different reason. Everybody wants something different from the game. Like CJ wants something different than Steve, one of our other guys, or Nick. He wants something different from the game than the rest of them. So there's going to be a video on this is going to be from the player aspect. The next video is going to be from the GM's aspect of how you deal with that. So what I want to talk about, the first one I want to talk about is the clown. Yeah, oh, he laughs. There he is. Okay, the clown. We've all seen it in our groups. All right, he makes that goofy character. He's that rogue that just goes around, something serious is going on, he wants to go around and steal everybody's underwear because he's got 20 ranks in pickpocketing, right? Funny, right? It is. It's funny.
It has its time, though.
It has its place, right? But the clown doesn't take advantage of the place and time. The place and time is all the time, okay? For me, that's one of the big distractions, right? Especially like something serious is going on, a big character development or story development, and then one guy's over there. I want to pick that guy's pocket, or I want to put a grenade in his pocket. Like as a GM, right? What are you gonna do about that? That's a different episode. So, as the clown, so let's look at it from the player base, okay? Because I played a lot of games as well, okay? Mm-hmm. So you got the clown in the group. How do you feel about that as another player? So CJ, okay, so you say we've got a clown, okay, mm-hmm. in the group, and they're humdinging around, they want to do this and that and this and that, regardless of what's going on. So as a player, and say you're focused, right, or you're sitting there, how does that interact and affect the way you feel about the game?
Well, we've had a clown and when I first started playing, mm-hmm. and it's like, especially because they do it at such a just not a good time.
It's the wrong time every time.
Yeah, like it's a really story driven part, and I'm trying to pay attention. I want to get the most out of the story that I can.
And he's over there giving you the wet willy or something.
Yeah, well, okay, so an example, our clown was my uncle.
Okay.
He played a scion that put all of his scion abilities and flicked them as a booger. Okay. So he would pick his nose. He was a halfling scion that flicked boogers at people, and he would just go off on a tangent with that. And it was really it was just really, really distracting. I couldn't get most of the story because we would have to,
you have to stop.
Take care of what he was trying to do, So that's...
See, another thing with the clown as well is that the clown could just want attention.
Yep.
So maybe their character isn't getting enough attention, or maybe them as the player is not getting enough attention. We're going to cover that in the GM version of this, how you deal with that. So, but as a player, so obviously what CJ's saying, right, so it's distracting to the players, right? They're trying to get in, okay, we got combat going, or we got a really good monologue from a villain going, to be cliche about it, right? And there he is, I'm going to flick a booger at the boss.
I mean, every game doesn't have to be serious. There can be funny dialogue, you can make it like that, but don't go out of your way. Mm-hmm. To try and do something that you think will be funny.
You obviously we all want to have fun, right?
Oh yeah, of course. But it's just some parts are distracting.
You want to keep it kind of in line with what's going on in the story. Obviously, in the previous video that I did, we talked about putting the group together, right? We're talking about the GM has set up his storyline, and he's already talked about, okay, this is the feel, this is how I want it to go, this is what's going to kind of happen, all right, this is the way things are going to kind of go. And then the clown is the guy that likes to just be like, well, you know what, screw you, buddy.
He kind of almost just destroys the storyline.
So he goes against the one of the commandments, all right, what is it? I forget how it's worded. It's basically respect your GM. He is God. He makes the decisions. It is.
It is.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's kind of like the GM. It's a lot of work. If any of you people have not done it, try it.
Oh, it's tough.
Even just sit down and get some paper and pencil. You're like, okay, I want this to happen. These are the monsters. This is what's going to happen. This is the storyline. Because if you just want to do a dungeon crawl and kill stuff, that's totally fine. But if you want a really in-depth, like hardcore story, I'm going to do a video where I've talked about some of the games that I've done that have put like the hair standing on people's heads and everybody's like leaning in on the table listening to me speak. Like that's what I want as a game master from it. So
that's what I want as a player from it too.
See, so back to the clown. So we got the clown. We understand the clown, right? He wants attention. He just wants to do his thing. Maybe in the beginning he's cool, but then it slowly starts to escalate. And the next thing you know, man, he's like dancing naked on the table. You know, I haven't had that personally. It could happen, right? Okay. The second one. Let's talk about the rules monger.
Oh,
The rules monger. Okay. So obviously,
the hunt of rules.
So the GM, right? He's the arbitrator of the rules. Like he needs to know the rules. Basically, I see it as a player needs to come with a basic understanding of the game mechanics and how his character works in the game. Players don't need to really think about anything else. But you're going to have that one guy that this guy's rolling for his combat. He's fighting the monster. He's over there, got his book, going through the pages. Okay, actually, Bob couldn't do that because according to this, he's just pointing out rules. Or like if you make a snap decision on like, okay, instead of just stopping, going through the rules, okay, technically, Bill, you can't do that flanking maneuver, You just be like, okay, yeah, fine. Or, nah, I don't think that works. Let's just go on. Okay, cool. Well, he's over there for 10 minutes. Skip my turn. He's going through the rules to go back and try to counteract you. And to show that you got the rule wrong, right? There's going to be those people. They may not be like... There's different levels, right? There's like the base level that are just kind of like, actually this rule, maybe they just quote rules off the top of their head, which is cool. If you can do that, good on you.
I think that's like the highest one if they memorize the rules.
Just small stuff, but I'm talking like the highest level are the ones that just they have their book and
they're buried in it.
Yeah, as soon as the game starts, they've got it open and they're like, okay, initiative, and he's looking at this and using all the rules to his advantage and bogging it down. The rule monger, it slows the game because he's always got to make contradictions, or he'll fight with the GM. He'll argue until he is blue in the face.
That is what I was going to say, and
you don't argue with the GM. Obviously, if the GM gets something totally wrong and it gets your character killed, that's something you can discuss at a later time. But if it's like, he actually got +1 instead of +2 on this, who cares? Mm-hmm. Play the game, right? So your rules monger, right? Any other comments on the rule monger?
Well, like I was saying, that they just argue.
Yep.
That's all they really do. They just argue, just to argue. Mm-hmm. I've played with rule mongers, and it's terrible. It takes the fun right out of the game because half the time he's arguing, and the GM and the rule monger are pretty much almost fighting.
Yeah.
And, books are thrown, dice are thrown, and it's just...
just across the room.
Yeah. It's just not fun, because then you're sitting there, twiddling your thumbs, waiting for the game to get back.
Yeah, as they're like shooting lightning out of their eyes at each other, the rest of the players are just like... That's when people get out their phones, on their tablets.
Go outside.
Go out and smoke, whatever they do. Right, and now your game, now it's really hard to rein that back in. So we're going to talk more on that on the GM's side of how to deal with that. So basically just know, like as a player, like if you got a rule monger, right, it's going to be tough because those people don't really like to take the game like for what it is. They want to take it for what it's supposed to be. Rules is written, all that other stuff. So be wary of those people. If you're one of those people, if you're like, oh my God, Brian, I think I'm a rule monger. Right? Really evaluate what you're doing to the rest of the party. That's the biggest thing that you're going to want to take out of this. One of the biggest things to take out of all this when we're identifying these people is what you're doing to the rest of the party, right? The rest of the group. We're all here to have fun, right? But if you're making it not fun for everybody else, that's just
then nobody's going to want to come.
That's how campaigns go down the drain. I have had so many campaigns. I've had several campaigns. You know, a good example, we were doing a Black Crusade game. It's Chaos Space Marines, put out by Fantasy Flight. Fantastic game. We did one. It was just, I had an NPC. No, the player did something to an NPC that the rest of the players thought that guy's character shouldn't have done, but did because, you know, his his personality spilled over, right? And like, well, by the rules, I can do this kind of stuff. And it's just kind of like, I just shut the book, slid it across the table. I'm like, all right, guys, we're done. I cut it right there. Don't be afraid to do that. All right. The next one.
Number 3.
Number 3. Trey. The power gamer. Everybody on some level is a power gamer. Okay? There's so many levels of this. The power gamer is the person that has their character, and the only thing they think about is what stats, what abilities, spells, powers, feats, whatever game you're playing, what can I take to make my character the best over everybody else and kill everything easy. Okay? You're like, well, Brian, isn't that what you want to do? Like, you want your character to be the strongest, right? I like my players to build their characters story-driven, right? Like, not everybody can be gods among men, right? Some people just are going to have certain skills, and then other characters are going to have certain skills, and other characters are going to do this, right? We don't need everybody that's a jack of all trades that can do everything.
Yeah, there's going to be certain things that one character can do that another character can't.
And these are also the people that are going to look at the rules. We're going to go back. This is a combination of rule monger and power gamer. They're going to use the rules and look at it, and they're going to plan out, okay, I'm going to take this and this by this level, and this is going to make me do this. They're just going to have it all planned out, and they're only going to take the stuff that's really just going to make them throw better dice or better bonuses. Mm-hmm. Obviously, everybody wants better bonuses, because as the story progresses, you're going to fight harder and harder monsters, or harder encounters, whatever you want to say. But they're to the point where now nobody else is having fun, because they're like, oh, well, you know, Bob's brought a spider, you know, that's dual-wielding great swords that can shoot lasers out of his eyes.
Well, it's almost like min-maxing.
Yeah, it's the min-maxing, right? It's just stats on paper. There's no character development. So the power gamer makes it not fun for the group, because now he's the only one that shines. He's getting all the rolls, he's picking all the pockets, he's breaking all the doors, he's killing all the monsters. And then, like, the GM has to create harder and harder encounters to counter that player, and now everybody else just gets
one shot,
gets killed, knocked out all the time, constantly resurrected, whatever, right? So now nobody else is having fun. Mm-hmm. So power gamers, if you guys are power gamers, I want you to think about this, what we just talked about. How are you affecting the rest of your group? Every player should think the actions that they take, how are they affecting the rest of the group? You know, how are they affecting the other people's characters, story-wise? How are they affecting the other players, player-wise? You know, oh, that guy over there, he's like rolling his eyes, he doesn't look too happy now. Well, now how invested is he in the game? Okay? So you got to make sure you think about that. Because you're all here to have fun. There's so many times that arguments have happened and people have just gotten so mad at each other over a game. Right? That's where the GM needs to just shut the book. Okay, let's call it a day. We'll play in a couple of weeks. Everybody cools down. All right. So we've got the clown. We got the rule monger. We got the power gamer. Obviously, we can go into details of combinations. The real dangerous one is when you get all three together. The clown, the rule monger. So he dinks around. He screws around. He's a rule monger, so he quotes all the rules and fixes all the rules and spouts all the rules, and then he builds his character to where nobody can touch it.
Yeah.
So those are dangerous people. So really think about this when you're building your character, and when you're playing the game. Like, is that really? There's video games for that.
Yeah.
Like, you can play online games, you can play all this other stuff. Like, if you really want to min-max, like, that's the place to do it. Like, role-playing games are really all about character, because not everybody can do everything. In real life, there's no Superman in real life. Can't do everything all the time. I really think those are the big three. Obviously, those
are the big three bad ones.
The big three bad ones. There's several others, like different levels of each. Or there's like, here's another one. The noob.
Oh, the noob.
The noob.
I remember being a noob.
So this is not their fault. So this is a person that's new to the game system, that's new, or maybe new to role playing in general. Okay, this is not something that you should just pick up lightly. Like I said, this is not just rolling dice and moving models around and killing stuff, right? This is like there's something of you as a player that has to be set aside when you sit down at the game table. I am no longer Brian. I am now Samson, the mighty cleric of Cuthbert, right? I have to think of... Don't laugh.
I'm not laughing.
Cuthbert. I'll have stories about this Cuthbert stuff for days. Maybe I'll do a video on my old first edition games and all that stuff. So I need to think about my character. I'm my character. I got to think like my character. The new people that are coming in are still, they're wary of the rules. They're not quite sure what's going on. There's a lot of apprehensiveness. A lot of people can't just let go. Like, they'll just talk like we're talking now. Oh, hey, Samson, how you doing? Oh, I'm doing good. All right. Some people just can't change the voice. They can't act the part. Oh, I'm fine today, And really get into the role playing aspect, right? Really just dive themselves in. It's not the noob's fault, but if the noob is not guided down this path of righteousness of gaming, they will easily become the clown. Or if they really get into the rules, now they're going to become the rule monger. Or once they figure it out, now they're going to become the power gamer. And now you've just got a problem, okay? So you've got to, like, as a GM, if you're bringing these people in, right, make sure that you're giving them the right guidance.
Well, I mean, it's not even just the GM's, duty. The GM has a lot on his plate already with, dealing with the three or making a good story. It could be, I bring a buddy in, I'm going to teach him the rules, because I'm the one who brought him in.
See, and the players need to kind of police themselves as well. I'm gonna do a video for GMs specifically on like just down and dirty, like how to deal with your party and your group of people, that if they're not doing what you need them to do, or if they're being constantly disruptive, like how to deal with it. But the players need to police it as well. So say me and CJ are sitting here, GM's over there, and Bob is sitting across there being a clown. Be like, Bob, dude, chill, cut it out. Slow your roll, son. Like you're taking away from my experience. Like, as a player, don't be afraid to say that kind of stuff to other players. Most of the time, you're going to be all friends.
Oh yeah, so you're just going to be like, yo, come on.
I can be like, CJ, quit being a tool.
And I'll just laugh.
Put your pants back on. This isn't clown time. This is game time.
You know what? Maybe I want my pants off.
Well, that's not how we game.
I'm just kidding.
Most times.
Sometimes it gets a little gnarly.
You know what? Sometimes drinking. Here's another GM rule. No drinking at the game table. I'll talk about that later.
No heavy drinking.
No heavy drinking. But so, yeah, those are kind of like the three big plus the noob, right? There's obviously other variants of players or combinations or subtle combinations of all of them. But just be aware. Look at yourself as a player. How do you play? Why do you play the game? Think of yourself as a player. Why am I playing this game? Is it just to hang out with my friends? Do I want an immersive experience in this fantastic story that this guy's worked on for 3 or 4 weeks? Because, if you write a good story, it's like writing a short story. Like, it's not easy work. You've got to come up with characters and names and stories for all the NPCs. You've got to work the other characters in. So, just look at yourself as a player. How are you interacting with your game group? What are you doing to your group when you're being an ass? Or maybe that's another one. Maybe that's number 4 of the big ones, the ass. Like, there's that guy that's just like, for some reason, he makes that character that's like just like a dick to everybody. Like, why would you have that person in your party? Like, if you were these characters and we were teleported in there, and there's a guy being an ass, he would be beaten up and left in some swirly bar somewhere, and then the rest of the party would go off somewhere else and leave that guy to his vices. So if you're an ass player, I'm talking to you, anybody that's an ass player, be truthful to yourself. Like, do you really need to be like that? Because obviously that's a big hindrance to the party as well, because nobody likes an ass in real life. I deal with enough of them people in my life, in my line of work. I don't need to come to the game table and have one of my friends act like that, because they're like, oh, this is how my character would act. Like, how have you lived as long as you have as a character without getting yourself put in jail or killed? Okay, but that's where we're going to end this video, okay? So remember, look at yourself as a player, identify what type of player you are, think about how you're affecting your GM, his story, your players and their characters. If you do that, you might be able to make some changes to how you game to make a better experience for the whole group, because that's why you're there as a group to all have fun. Okay? So until next time, happy gaming. We'll see you again in the Game Masters Dungeon. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe down below. Visit us over at facebook.com/GameMastersDungeon to look at some of the new content, painting pictures, all kind of stuff we're going to be putting over there in the next few weeks to come. Take care. Happy gaming.